Hey everybody, it's Bobby Nahum here with AMAC Real Estate Company. Hope everybody is having a fantastic week. Hope everybody's had a great summer so far. I am here today to talk to you guys about our local real estate market here in Leon County. And we are going to be going over the second quarter residential real estate market update. I'm going to go over with you guys some annual year-over-year real estate related metrics. We're going to compare how the real estate market did in the second quarter of this year versus the second quarter of 2023, just to kind of give you guys an oversight of how our real estate market is doing, what direction it's going in, what prices are doing, what sales are doing, etc., etc. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of insight into also what's going on in the broader economy and how that's affecting our local real estate market, and just talk to you a little bit about what we can expect going forward and give you some tips on how you can succeed if you are either selling a house in this market or if you're buying a house in this market as well. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get started. So basically, though, in the second quarter, we saw pretty much the same trends that we had seen in the fourth quarter of last year and first quarter of this year. So basically, those trends are we've seen sales continue to go down on a year-over-year basis. The number of properties listed for sale continued to go up. We saw annual price growth slow down. Now, annual year-over-year prices did go up still in the second quarter, just at a much slower pace than what we have been used to seeing from 2020 to 2023. So basically a slowdown in annual price appreciation is what we saw. We also saw it took longer on average in the second quarter of this year for homes to sell than it did a year ago. And also the sale price to listing price ratio was slightly lower in the second quarter of this year compared to a year ago. And again, the sale price to list price ratio measures how much homes sell on average compared to what they're listed for sale at. So, and then the last metric is what I call the distressed sale to total sale ratio, which just measures distressed sales as a percentage of overall sales. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So, starting out, let's jump right into it and let's talk about number of homes listed for sale. So, the number of properties that were listed for sale in Leon County in the second quarter of this year was up by 21% compared to second quarter of 2023. So that's a pretty big increase. It's good news overall for the market because we still have a shortage of homes available for sale. We have for quite some time. So that's good news. Home buyers means home buyers will have more homes to choose from, and it'll put a little bit of it'll probably continue to put a little bit of downward pressure on home prices as well, cause home prices appreciation to continue to slow down because we have more supply. And again, you've heard me talk about this multiple times, but we basically had, up until the fourth quarter of last year, we had about a 10-year span of the number of properties listed for sale continuing to go down. So, if things continue in the same direction that they have in the last three quarters, with the number of properties available continuing to go up, in the next 12 to 18 months, we should have a market that's much more favorable to home buyers than what we're seeing right now. So, the next metric is home sales. So, sales decreased in the second quarter of this year by 3% compared to the second quarter of 2023. Not a huge surprise. It's not a huge drop, but it's enough. It's substantial, 3% drop. Not a huge surprise. The interest rates in the second quarter of this year were slightly higher than they were in the second quarter of 2023. So as interest rates go up, the typical response that you would expect would be for home sales to go down because it causes buying a home to be more expensive, which would drive down the number of sales. Also, just I think general inflation overall, the continuation of elevated inflation levels have basically made it more expensive to live in general. So, and it's made it harder for especially low and middle income people to save to purchase a home. So that probably also has that's probably also partially why home sales will continue to go down as well. So the next metric is the average sale price. So home prices were up by 5% in the second quarter of 2024 compared to a year earlier. 5% is that's a good healthy increase. Average historically is about 4%. So we're still slightly above what's considered average. We're in that kind of average range still, just at the upper end. However, one thing that you should note is that as the quarter went on, so starting in April and ending in June, as the quarter went on, annual home prices started to go down. So I believe in April, it was in June, or April and May, it was 6 to 7%, and then by the time we got to June, the annual increase had dropped down to 3%. So, and then also I checked to see what home prices did in July. In July, home prices were also, annual home price increases were at 3%. But interestingly, so far in August, home prices are actually down from a year ago by a little bit less than 1%. So it's not a surprise to me. Since the fourth quarter of last year, we've continued to see inventory levels go up, supply go up, number of sales go down. So eventually, you would expect home prices to start to come down, which I would expect in the second half of this year. We will probably see annual home prices either flatten out from a year ago or possibly go down slightly. So far in August, it's looking like they're probably going to drop a little bit. Home prices are going to drop a little bit from a year ago. I wouldn't be in panic about it. I don't think it's going to be a huge drop, but I would expect to see a slight drop in home prices in the second half of this year compared to a year ago, especially considering we're going into the slow fall-winter season, and also it's a presidential election year, which typically in presidential election years, it's a little bit slower than normal. So I would expect to see home prices to continue to go down the second half of this year. The next metric, average days on the market that it took a home to sell. So it took 11.1% longer for a home to sell in the second quarter of 2024 compared to the second quarter of 2023. It was 50 days. It took on average homes to sell 50 days in the second quarter of this year versus 45 days a year prior. So slight increase in the number of days it took a home to sell, that's consistent with the other metrics we're seeing, which indicate the market is softening. The next metric is the average sale price to list price ratio, which was down by 1.1% in the second quarter of this year compared to a year ago. So I'll get you the exact figures for the sale price to list price ratio. So it was the average sale price to list price ratio in the second quarter was 98.39%. So that means on average homes were selling for 98.39% of the asking price compared to the year prior when homes were selling for 99.49%. So again, that metric is also consistent with the softening of the market. So the last metric I want to talk about is what I call the distress sales to total sales. Again, distress sales to total sales ratio, which is I made that term up. It measures distress sales is a percentage of overall sales. So distress sales are typically foreclosures and short sales, but they can be really any other type of sale. They can be like bankruptcy sales, estate sales, any type of sale where the nature of the sale lends itself to the home selling for less than market value could be considered a distress sale. So distress sales in the second quarter of this year were 2.3% of total sales, which that is up from last year by 0.58% when distress sales last year comprised of only 1.72%. So distress sales are still very low, but we did see a slight uptick. Now, one thing that you should note, in the southwest quadrant of Leon County, distress sales made up 8.9% of overall sales, which that's the highest I've seen in a long time, probably going all the way back to maybe 2015, 2016. Um, Last year in the second quarter, distress sales in the Southwest quadrant were only 5.1%. So it was a 3.8% jump, which is high. And again, that 8.9% number, distress sales making up 8.9% of total sales, is very high compared to what we've seen in the last few years. So I would continue to watch that. I will continue to watch that, and I'll let you know if that trend starts to bleed into other quadrants in Leon County. If it does, then that's a problem. The Southwest quadrant is the poorest part of Leon County, so not a huge surprise that if we were going to see elevated distress sales, it would be in that part of town. Just with inflation and everything, people who are in the lower income brackets tend to get hit the hardest. So, if people are struggling to get by, that means they're going to likely not be able to pay their mortgage, and that's probably what's causing the elevated distress sales in that part of the county. So let's talk about going forward, what we can expect. So in September, we're going to see the Federal Reserve. We're going to see them decrease the federal funds rate. That'll probably have a slight impact on mortgage rates. We'll probably see mortgage rates go down a little bit in the months ahead. However, I don't think that the drop in the federal funds rate and the subsequent drop in mortgage rates is going to have any substantial impact on the current trends we're seeing. I think that the current trends are going to continue in the same direction, at least until the spring of next year when the market picks back up again. So I think at least until spring of next year, we're going to continue to see home sales go down. We're going to continue to see a number of properties listed for sale go up. We're going to see home prices continue to soften as well. So I would expect that to continue regardless of what the Fed does. So if you are selling your house in today's market, if you're going to be selling your house soon, a couple realities that you need to face is that, number one, the market is softening, and number two, you're facing more competition from other homes on the market. So that means if you're selling your house, it's very important to price your home right, and you may want to even consider pricing your home slightly below what homes have been selling for over the past few months, because if home prices are going down, you kind of want to get in front of that instead of letting your home sit on the market and then have to chase the price down, but chase the market through price reductions. Maybe just price it slightly below market value so that you can sell the home quick and avoid it sitting on the market and then having to drop the price later. And then also, if you're selling your home, be sure, since you're having to compete against more properties on the market, you really need to make sure that your house is in good shape. Take professional photos always if you're going to be listing your home for sale. If you are buying your house, if you're buying a home, you will have a little bit more negotiating power in the second half of this year than what we've seen in the last few years. So there'll be more homes to choose from. You'll have fewer home buyers to compete against, especially going into the slow season. So that's good news. Now, with that said, we are still in a low inventory atmosphere right now, environment right now, and there's still historically not that many homes for sale. So the homes that come on the market that are priced right and are in good shape and are in good locations, you can still expect to see a lot of competition for those homes. So you will need to be, if you're buying a home, you still need to be prepared. If you're getting financing, have your pre-qualification letter ready to submit with an offer. If you are paying cash for a house, have your proof of funds statement ready to submit with an offer. And also be sure to do your homework ahead of time on property values. Always research what homes have been selling for before you make an offer on a home. That way you know not to come in too high and overpay, but not to come in too low and then possibly miss out because you lose the home to another buyer who's paying more money because you made an offer that was too low. So that's what I would suggest if you were looking to buy or sell a home in this market. And that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If y'all have any questions about anything I've said today or just any other general real estate related questions, you can leave a comment on this video, or you can email me, or you can shoot me a text or give me a call. Either one is fine. And I hope you guys found this information helpful, and I will be talking to you guys in a couple months. Thanks, and have a great week.